finance, economy, and development from the world of business. And one of our focus today, or our major focus today, time now to talk about finance, economy, and development from the world of business. And our focus today is cryptocurrency, because it's one of the issues that has got the financial world talking. The trade in cryptocurrency might not be the easiest to understand, as it can be complex, but as expected, many Nigerians over the years have now understood the dynamics, because Nigerians are always smart. Now, you would definitely agree with me that this might not be far from the reported astronomical profits subscribers make. And there are over 100,000 cryptocurrencies, but the most popular among them is the Bitcoin. Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria, in a swift reaction in 2017, compelled all financial institutions not to use, hold, trade, or transact in cryptocurrencies, and a position which was later reiterated in 2018. Now, the Apex Bank, in February 5th this year, directed all financial institutions to, with immediate effect, put a stop to all trading with regards to cryptocurrency. Reasons given by the CBN are cryptocurrencies are digital, virtual currencies issued largely by anonymous entities and secured by cryptography, which aids hiding of code and prevents oversight, accountability, and regulation. Now, in a twist to this, the Apex Bank has also hinted it will unveil its digital currency soon. Is this the central bank coming to terms with the stance of those who are saying cryptocurrency is the currency of the future? This episode would do justice to that. Also this year, 27th of July precisely, the Central Bank of Nigeria stopped Bureau de Change operators from trading in foreign exchange, alleging they are being used as conduit for illicit financial flow. And consequently, it gave a marching order to commercial institutions, excluding microfinance banks, to start providing forex to those who genuinely need it. It appears that some microfinance banks are still defiant of this, but the CBN recently gave a stern warning to such banks. Is the Apex Bank justified? The answer in a moment. Now, this is our focus on Business 24. I am Comfort Amadu, and of course, our complimentary segment is also part of the package, and we will start with all those reports right after this break. Do not go away.
Freedom for me is helping creatives to express themselves to their arts. Let me introduce you to a new kind of freedom, courtesy of my friends at Handtech Markets. It comes with access to the world's biggest financial markets, 100% welcome bonus, and the fastest withdrawals there is in the game. Quote me. Okay? All you need is an internet connection, your laptop, or your mobile device. Talk about freedom.
Welcome back. Now let's go straight to the business of the day, as the Central Bank of Nigeria has hinted that it will soon unveil its digital currency, and the CBN is engaging the global fintech as its partner for its digital currency. The currency is named e-Naira. Let's watch this report from Shikeola Ipinaye on this development and how the central bank's digital currency will increase cross-border trade and accelerate financial inclusion.
To say the world has gone digital is stating the obvious. So is every aspect of human endeavor. It is indeed a digital world, from medicine to broadcasting to marketing, commerce, and all strata of human venture. As all aspects of human evolves, so also money transaction. moving from the era of trade by barter to exchanges of cowries, corals, and precious metals to today's paper money, credit cards, and now crypto and digital currencies. The economic landscape is now agog with the advent of fiat currencies, crypto or digital as the case may be, with many central bankers now going the way of digital currencies called Central Bank Digital Currency (CBDC). The Central Bank of Nigeria is catching up with the trend, announcing its intention to launch its digital currency e-Naira before the end of the year. In its latest publication, the Apex Bank says it has selected the global fintech to partner in its quest to launch the e-Naira. Hence the need for clarity. Remember, the Apex Bank had on one hand disclosed its dissatisfaction for the cryptocurrency transactions in Nigeria, prohibiting all cryptocurrency transactions and facilitation of payment for cryptocurrency exchanges. And now, it is floating a digital currency, raising the question of the difference between this monetary phenomenon.
Digital currency is under the control of the government. So the digital currency can be printed by the central bank of any country, the Central Bank of Nigeria, Central Bank of America, any country, a government is government controlled. So government can control the movement of digital currency. For instance, if there's a limit to your travel allowance, you say you don't travel with more than $10,000, for instance. With digital currency, you can still maintain that level. The government can still control the inflow and the outflow of currency, right? The volume of money that is being, that is being transported or imported or exported, so to say. That is if it is digital currency, right? But in the case of cryptocurrency, it's private. Cryptocurrency is not government controlled. It's private people, that have created, have mined, or you can say created, but the right word is mine, is the mining of private currencies that even some governments are now adopting. For instance, the government of El Salvador is adopting a cryptocurrency. And I remember the cryptocurrency first came into being in 2009 by a guy called Satoshi Nakamoto, when he created the one popularly called now as Bitcoin. So Satoshi Nakamoto is a pseudonym. Nobody knows him. He could be here and there, but then that's a currency because it has been used to service, pay for goods and services. So it's a currency, but it's not government controlled, and then it is anonymous, right? Anonymous in the sense that it is held in a wallet that has a wallet address, several numbers put together to create that wallet, and then it is not under the control of any government, right? So because it is not under the control of any government, most governments are skeptical as to how can you make use of a currency that the government cannot control. So how are they going to tax it, right? How are they going to audit accounts that use cryptocurrency, for their transaction? And that's why government said, okay, the alternative is to create, the digital currency that the government can have control over.
This no doubt speaks volume of the prospects of digital currency for central bankers across the globe, including the Central Bank of Nigeria, and economic watchers believe that is the way to go.
When Nigeria launches the e-Naira, it makes Nigeria to be at par with the rest of the world, because the whole world is now information based, is e-commerce and e-currency. Everything about Nigerian currency will be digital, and it also helped the budgetary process, right? It will also help transparency. It will also be able to let the government trace the transactions, monetary transactions, digitally. And it's also safer, because with the digital currency, if you move the money from one location to the other, it will be difficult for anybody to really steal money per se, because it can be monitored.
For Mr. Esso and many like him who understand the trend of fiat currency, the future of money transaction lies in this novelty, and as such all must make efforts to understand the trend so as not to be left afloat in the monetary revolution. Shikeola Ikpenaye for Business 24.
Also, the Central Bank of Nigeria has issued a stern warning to commercial banks dealing in foreign exchange, as it says doing so amounts to going out of their bounds. Why are they exempted from this? Kunle Adeye will tell us all about that.
The regulation of foreign exchange trade began in July when the Central Bank of Nigeria barred Bureau de Change operators from forex sales, citing some excesses on their part. The Central Bank Governor, Godwin Emefiele, instructed commercial banks to assume the duty of providing foreign exchange to people with genuine demands. The Central Bank of Nigeria warned microfinance banks to desist from offering non-permissible activities, especially foreign exchange and wholesale banking transactions, which the bank titles cessation of non-permissible activities. The bank says it observed some microfinance banks have gone beyond the remit of their operating licenses by engaging in non-permissible activities, especially wholesale banking, foreign exchange transactions, and others. The CBN insists the banks are prohibited from foreign exchange transactions since they are to primarily focus on providing financial services to retail and micro clients. Microcredit and retail transactions carried out by microfinance banks are limited to 500,000 naira per transaction for Tier 2 units of microfinance banks and 1 million naira for other categories. And microcredit facilities shall constitute a minimum of 80% of total loans portfolio for microfinance banks. A financial analyst, Niyi Akinshiju, emphasized that it is imperative for microfinance banks to stay within the limits of their operations.
Microfinance banks are not supposed to trade in forex. It's not. Microfinance bank is, by the name, the title itself, should be engaged in micro-transactional activities. They are not supposed to be involved in the license. One does not permit. That is the truth. The license does not permit transaction in forex. They are supposed to engage in micro retail transactions. Even at the level of lending, they are not supposed to do more than 1 million, and it even depends on the kind of license. If they have national license, they have state license, regional license, and they have even unit license. So a unit microfinance bank will now give out 1 million naira loan. What business has it got? Has it got to do that? That unit is supposed to encourage petty traders, 50,000, 20,000. Loans that are easily recoverable, because for every lending there's the issue of risk management, So, and then if you now extend that service to forex also draws a lot of capital, a lot of liquidity, and if the microfinance bank with relatively low capitalization is engaged in that, 1 or 2 wrong transactions can wipe out the functionality of the microfinance bank. Of course, that's what it can, because it's depositors' money that will be used to trade. And once the price can either move up or move down within a range that is beyond management, and everything crumbles in that microfinance bank, with, of course, implication for customers and depositors.
The Central Bank of Nigeria promised continuous monitoring of developments in the sector and apply severe regulatory sanctions for breaches of extant regulations, including revoking the license of non-compliant microfinance banks in line with Section 19 of the guidelines. Kunle Adeye for Business 24.
right, many thanks for that report, Kunle Adeyeye. Now, there are growing interest in export of goods and services to intra-African and international markets, and that can only be achieved with the right guide and requirements to access the markets.
So today I'll be talking about Incoterms. Incoterm means international commercial terms. If you're someone or a company that is interested in venturing into export or international trade, you need to understand Incoterms. That's absolutely necessary because they're terminologies that, as a buyer or a seller, of course, in that process, there's a buyer and there's a seller. So Incoterms dictates the relationship between the buyer and the seller. It talks about the tasks, the cost, the risks that are associated in that particular transaction. Who is protected? Who does what? Who pays for what? If there's a damage, who covers it? So it's important that you understand Incoterms. And the latest Incoterm is called Incoterm 2020. It was published by the International Chamber of Commerce. So you could actually go online and find, look for Incoterms 2020. That's actually the latest. It talks about the relationship between the buyer and the seller. Now look at this. If you're entering a business transaction, you also need to understand, are your risks covered? Who covers it? Who covers the cost of transportation? Who covers the cost of insurance? Who covers the cost of duties? What's my role in this transaction? Very important. You know why it's important as well? Because you're entering a contract. When you're entering an export contract with your buyer, you are the seller, you have a buyer. If you're entering a contract, then you have to base them on certain Incoterms. We both agree that this is how it's going to be. Very important. Now, let me give you an example of an Incoterm. We have free on board, for example. Free on board is an Incoterm that is used for sea and inland waterway transportation. Now, in this case, the seller delivers the goods on board the vessel that's going to transport the goods. When the seller delivers it on that vessel, as stipulated by the buyer, because the buyer is saying, I want you to use this particular vessel. So you obey that to that very point. And it tells you, this is my port of shipment. You've agreed on that. Now, if the seller gets the products on top of the vessel at that port of shipment, that free on board tells you that the risk of that transportation from that point forward is borne by the buyer. So that's an Incoterm. And we have several Incoterms. And like I said earlier, you need to study them to understand what kind of contracts exist and how you can be protected in an export transaction. We have other Incoterms like carriage paid to, we have, I think I wrote some here, we have delivered at place unloaded, we have delivered duty paid. We have quite a number. We have cost and freight. Please, I would urge you, if you want to go into export, you need to go and study Incoterms very well, because that's really guide the kind of contract that you're entering to with your buyer. Incoterms 2020 is still the latest. And like I want to repeat this is published by International Chamber of Commerce, and it tells you about the tax, the cost, the risks that are associated with the buyer and the seller. And it's very important that you're prepared for it. Don't be ignorant of such. Don't run into a contract or enter into a contract when in a situation where you don't understand the terms. You might end up biting your fingers if you're not careful. And that's today on Incoterms. I'll be talking about risks as we move on.
All right, let's get the valuation and performance of stocks at the capital market, especially with the increased participation of local and foreign investors in trading on the floor of the Nigerian Group Exchange. Professor Uche Uwaleke, how did the stocks perform at the end of the trading session for this week?
The week witnessed 2 days of appreciation in the NGX All-Share Index, as talking about Thursday and Friday. But that wasn't sufficient to cancel the losses witnessed between Monday and Wednesday. The week opened on a negative note, losing about 0.40% on Monday. The loss, was sustained on Tuesday and Wednesday. We saw a reversal on Thursday and Friday, but as I said earlier on week, we are experiencing a loss. So I would say the week was characterized by profit taking in the main, because if you look at the week-on-week return, we are talking about a negative return, for the week, minus 0.57%. That's what the market has, that's the dip we have, for this week. You also notice that on the average, the market breadth in terms of the number of gainers and losers, market breadth, has been negative, on the average. We had more losers, more decliners than the advancers, this week. And market breadth is one measure of investor sentiment. So one could say investor sentiment was quite weak, this week. That's on the back of what transpired the previous week. You recall that the previous week, the market started inching up following the GDP Q2 results for 2021 that was released by the MBS on Thursday. So on Thursday, the market picked up and also closed on a positive note the previous week. But we couldn't see the positive sentiment sustained this week. As I said, the week opened on a negative note and has also ended week on week negatively. But in all that, we also saw some traction in terms of activity. Industrial stocks, not industrial now, ICT, MTN Nigeria, was quite active. Financial sector stocks, banking stocks in particular, Zenith Bank. Recall Zenith Bank results, is out, and Zenith Bank is declaring an interim dividend of 30 kobo. In the oil and gas, yes, Sept. But I also expect that going into next week, we may see mixed results, but more in terms of bargain hunting may happen next week. And that's because a number of companies are also releasing results. Access Bank, for example, just released its results, and it's also declared an interim dividend of 30 kobo, just like Zenith Bank. Aside from these corporate earnings, next week may not witness any major trigger in the market. It's still going to be mixed performance as we saw this week. But overall, I want to expect that in the very near future, the negative year-to-date return that we have as of now, which is printing at around minus 2.7%, is going to be wiped off.
All right, thank you very much for the review of the market there, Professor Uche Uwaleke. And we are sure the market will do better next week. And this is what we draw the curtain on this week's episode of Business 24. You can connect with us again on same channel, same station on NTA News 24 to get more from our Business 24 episodes, which promises to be exciting next week. I'm Comfort Amadu. Do connect with me again, because I'll be right here to bring you developments from the world of finance, economy, and business as well. See you next week.